Hello. You are at the Script Mistress podcast, a captivating journey into the realm of screenwriting. In this episode, I'm going to delve further into the 12 Archetype series, shining the spotlight today on The Ruler. I'm your enthusiastic host, Amber Bosworth, and I am thrilled to share this exhilarating installment with you. Now, to keep yourself informed about podcasts, events, and challenges, make sure you get on my mailing list at thescriptmistress.com. Additionally, you can find this entire episode at the web page on thescriptmistress.com/scene 35, a dedicated page with all the show notes, all the links, and the freebie I'm going to talk about at the end of the episode. I've also launched the Script Mistress YouTube channel where you can access all these episodes. I'll have the link in the show notes as well. As I diligently work on the entries for the recent Ink to Screen screenwriting challenge, I invite you to explore the exciting July challenge. Registration is now open, and participants have 5 days to write a brand new 5-page screenplay based on a prompt given at the beginning of the challenge. The winner will receive $150, and every writer who submits a completed script will receive detailed feedback right on their script, as well as a coverage sent out. Discover more at thescriptmistress.com/ink to screen. Again, that is all included in just a $15 entry fee. The July challenge is going to take place from July 19th to July 23rd, shortly after the announcement of the June finalists and the winner of the June challenge on July 17th. So don't miss out. Sign up now. Now, in case you need a refresher, here are the 12 character archetypes from Carl Jung's world. We have the warrior, the child, the orphan, the creator, the caregiver, the mentor, the joker, the magician, the ruler, the rebel, the lover, the seducer. As we come into this last portion, I'm really excited. You can go back and check all these out. We've worked all the way up to now to the ruler, 3 left after this one. I hope you want to go check them out. I also did a whole episode, scene 11, where I kind of touched a little bit on each one of them in a sequence. If you want to go back and listen to that episode as well, that's thescriptmistress.com/scene 11. Now, on to the ruler. Take me to your leader. This king or queen runs the country or corporation. They're the person you follow and the one who gives the orders. Hopefully, they're good at it. Now, strengths of the ruler: power, communication, leadership skills. Weaknesses of the ruler: control at all costs, paranoia at plots against them. The ruler's motivation: keep the peace and keep order in society by maintaining their power and getting more power. Character archetype examples: Cersei Lannister, Miranda Priestley from The Devil Wears Prada, King Arthur. Now, this is one of the most recognizable of the character types, and one you'll be familiar with, I'm sure. This archetype is all about stability and order. They're the characters who are there to maintain order through control and power. They are in direct contradiction to the rebel who seeks to destroy rather than create order. And we're going to talk about the rebel in the next episode. The ruler archetype represents leadership, power, and authority. Rulers are often depicted as figures of influence, whether they hold political, social, or even supernatural power. They exude confidence, charisma, and a strong sense of control over their domain. The ruler archetype is part of what's known as the power archetypes, along with the hero and the magician. So ruler, hero, magician, the power archetypes. While the hero focuses on personal growth and overcoming obstacles, and the magician delves into the realms of magic and transformation, the ruler archetype tackles themes of governance, order, and control. Rulers are often seen as the guardians or protectors of a specific territory or society. The ruler archetype can add depth and complexity to the narrative of your screenplay. Writers can use ruler characters to explore themes of responsibility, decision-making, and the impact of leadership on individuals and society. By creating challenges that test the ruler's authority, loyalty, or moral compass, writers can create compelling conflicts and character arcs. Now, in this episode, we'll talk more about the ruler archetype, how they serve your story, what the typical characteristics are, and of course, some examples of where you'll find them in popular culture. So, the ruler archetype. What is the ruler archetype? The ruler is the big cheese, the grand master, the one who's in charge. Call them the king or queen, the boss, the leader, the politician, the dictator, the patriarch, or the role model. That should give you a sense of the part they play in stories. Rulers can have both negative and positive arcs. They might be a benevolent queen who rules over their subjects with grace and fairness. They could be the evil overlord in rigid dystopian society where the rules must be followed and obeyed at all costs. Now, what does the ruler archetype do? The ruler can serve a few purposes in your story. They might play a more passive role rather than be the driving force behind your plot, serving only to create and help define the world in which your characters exist. A good example would be Mufasa from The Lion King. Now, he wasn't around long enough to have much impact on the overall story, but his presence, his ethics, and his morals helped guide Simba's action and define the type of world his pride wanted to live in. However, most rulers tend to be active and are a great device to help push your story forward. Now, there are benevolent rulers. As mentioned before, you might have a benevolent ruler on your hands. They do their best to serve the greater good and are concerned with the community as a whole and how it operates within their defined set of rules. They are mostly loved and just doing the best they can. This, of course, means their days are numbered. A seemingly benevolent ruler might be forced to make decisions that aren't popular with a specific group who seek revenge. Benevolent rulers often find themselves at the hands of assassins or a coup where their power is lost and therefore order is lost. After all, if their power is absolute and everyone is reasonably happy, what kind of story would that be? What kind of have to go down? They kind of have to go down, for plot reasons. The other course for a benevolent ruler is a decline from the personal ideas they've set out. For a ruler to be a ruler, they must hold all the power. Maybe you can see where this is going. Since power is one of life's most famous corruptors, your benevolent ruler could be subject to the pressures and downfalls of holding all that power in their little hand. That might turn them into the not so benevolent ruler, which we'll explore next. The not so benevolent rulers. Let's not all call them villains just yet. Though it's probably just a hop, skip, and a jump on the way to Evil Town, less than benevolent rulers serve as a great plot device because what else do you do with a nasty ruler but seek to overthrow them? Dystopian societies are famous for corrupt governments and leaders. In fact, this is a defining characteristic of the genre. This is where you might combine the ruler archetype with the hero, whose quest is to dispose of nefarious forces that threaten their home. Not all heroes seek to be rulers, but they often find themselves in that position. Rulers in general are the most corruptible and most likely character types to find themselves embracing the dark side. Their greatest fear is the loss of their power and influence, and sometimes they get lost or go a little crazy trying to hold on to it. So, what are some typical ruler archetype characteristics? By now, you're getting a sense of what the ruler represents. Here, we'll go into a bit more detail on what characteristics you'll find in ruler archetypes. They tend to be natural born leaders who are charismatic and comfortable inspiring and talking in front of large groups of minions or people, depending on the vibe you're going for. Have a commanding presence, are quick to take charge, and don't shy away from leading. Place value on status and prestige and image. Work cautiously, ensuring their moves are carefully orchestrated to serve their purposes. Have a strong sense of order and value the establishment of policies, procedures, and rules. Have a sense of fairness and work for the greater good. Create prosperity and success, however they define that. Want to do right by people while motivating and encouraging them to live their best life. Rule-bound lives, their best rule-bound lives. Understand how their decisions affect others and believe they are doing the right thing. Value hierarchies, chain of command, and establishing logical order. Fear a loss of order and control. Fear, above all, the loss of their position and power, like we mentioned before. Now, right on to some examples of the ruler archetype in popular culture. Now, examples of the ruler abound in popular culture. Here are a few you might be familiar with. President Snow, the dictator of Panem in the Hunger Games, is a perfect example of the not so benevolent ruler whose downfall from a strong basis, it forms a strong basis of the story and plot of the series. Darth Vader, obviously the infamous Star Wars bad guy, is one everyone loves to hate. And he ruled with an invisible fist until he was finally taken down by his own, spoiler alert, son. Aragorn, destined to be a king, Aragorn from The Lord of the Rings is a good example of the hero who becomes a ruler. We didn't get to follow him beyond that to see if he gave in to the corruption of power, but let's assume he didn't fall for all our sakes. Miranda Priestley, the take no prisoners, woman at the top, and the devil wears Prada, is another example of a ruler. She didn't just talk about style, she was style, and no one could question her authority or her rule. Peter Pan, this leader of the Lost Boys, is a good example of a ruler on a slightly smaller scale. They looked up to him, and he took care of his crew as a natural-born leader. Now remember, the ruler archetype, like any other, is a tool to enhance your story. Use it strategically and thoughtfully, ensuring that it serves the overall narrative and themes. The ruler archetype has the potential to bring depth and intrigue to your characters and captivate your audience when wielded effectively. The ruler is an important and significant character in many classic works. Therefore, they can be fundamental to creating conflict, driving the plot, and setting the character motivations either for themselves or other characters in your story. Refer back to the strengths and weaknesses and motivations. Use these as driving forces for your characters so that you know when you're writing this character what they might fear, what motivates them, and make sure they kind of stick to that, especially with a lot of these power-driven character archetypes. You want to keep those in mind. Now, the resources. I have a couple of links to where I got most of these articles. Great links if you want to read up a little bit more on those. Check those out in the show notes. So the writing action, same as it has been for this whole character archetype series. I created the new worksheet for these 12 archetypes. Download the character archetype worksheet. Fill it in for whichever archetype character you are working on. It is a PDF fillable as well, so you could just do it right on your computer. Get it here at thescriptmistress.com/archetypes or right from the show notes /scene 35. Feel free to share some of your thoughts on the Facebook page, Ink to Screen, or email me at amber@thescriptmistress.com to get any extra help. Now, again, don't forget about the monthly screenwriting challenge. July is open for registration. You could win $150 and get feedback on your writing, all for just $15. Check it all out at thescriptmistress.com /ink to screen. Thank you so much for listening and or watching. I truly value any feedback you have. If you have an idea for a podcast that might help you, you can email me at amber@thescriptmistress.com. Like and follow this show wherever you are listening. Talk soon. And until then, happy writing.